Today I feel called to preach on a difficult topic, especially since it's very prevalent in the news currently. I think it's very important that you hear from your priests about what is happening in our church and about how to respond to it. We have been through a wave of bad news within our church in Buffalo, and now we hear about it in Pennsylvania. And for the past several days, we have learned the shocking news of abuse in our church once again. And they were covered up in an era when the church was supposed to have a sense of openness and transparency, and yet these crimes that were committed by these men were not brought forward. They were covered up and justice was not served. And I think that this is precisely what makes people so frustrated and angry, and including myself and my brother priests who do work hard and to be good shepherds, and we're frustrated and angry with you. The reality is that it would be easy to just walk away, but it is bigger than that. The church is bigger than any one bishop, any one cardinal, or any one priest. It's bigger than any scandal because the church belongs to the Lord, and Jesus was perfect, and he is the divine one. It is all the more important to remain faithful to the church during this time because we know that the church was started by Jesus Christ. But sometimes, as we have found out all too well this week, those in the church have failed to be good shepherds, whether they be priests, bishops, or cardinals even. Dear people, we need to use our voices to speak out against injustice, to call our leaders to be accountable, and to call all people to be transparent in all these matters. And it's necessary for us to do this, to have a healthy church. In addition to praying for that, we need to use our voices to speak against injustice and to cling to Jesus in the Eucharist. Our gospel is appropriately about the power of Jesus in the Eucharist, where he says, "Unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you." Those words were powerful, and they were shocking to the people who heard it. But it was the truth, and Jesus wanted to convey that he would be our food for the journey. And we don't need to flee and to run away from the church. We need to stay here and to bring change and to cling to Jesus in the Eucharist. The evil one, Satan, if he wants to destroy the church, the biggest way to do that is to do that from within. Judas himself was an apostle who walked with Jesus, and he betrayed Jesus. That led him to his crucifixion. So we see that this corruption within the church, these evil things has happened in the church. The reason that they happen is to take down the church from within. And we see this precisely within our church today. Where is Satan attacking the most? Within the sanctity of marriage, family, and priests. So it's important to support the good shepherds that are in our lives, to call for justice and to cling to Jesus in the Eucharist, who is the source of our life. He is the food for our journey. He is leading us to salvation and the reason that we stay within the church. I was just ordained, of course, in June this year, and believe me, the painful news in Buffalo overshadowed the joy of the priesthood for me. And you know that we have good and faithful priests. And we need to pray for them because this is just as hard for them to hear, if not harder for them to hear. And we need to pray that our Mother Mary protects them in her mantle. My dear brothers and sisters, this is a painful time, certainly a monumental and historical time in our lives. And what we do from here matters greatly. Let us band together as brothers and sisters and be people that work for justice to find peace. Let us be people that seek to nourish ourselves with the bread of life and to move forward as the pilgrim people of God, nourished by the bread of life.